Today we're going to talk about some of your finishing steps with your beads and getting those onto your project. With your beads, we use the blue needle, and with the blue needle, if you made the hole big enough that your needle can go through, that's fantastic. If your project does not have a hole that's quite big enough for your needle to go all the way through, which clay does get smaller after it gets fired. Let's see if this one can go through. So this one's a little bit more open, but still the needle doesn't go through. What you're going to need to do is, if that needle doesn't go through, test it out with the smaller needle. With the smaller needle, make sure that that one passes through. If that passes through, then you'll be just fine. What you're going to do is you can add your beads onto two places on your project. You can put them onto the center webbing part, or many of you have some extra string that hangs on to the end, and if you don't have the extra string, you can always make sure and put that on to the end. So let's talk about how to get your string or your yarn onto the needle. So whenever you start off with this, what's important is I would take a nice fresh cut, and you can go ahead, and the smaller scissors that I have are very sharp, so you can take those and cut across the end. I'm going to use the inside of the mouth here, and I'm having issues. The scissors being a little dull, so I'm going to take them and make them nice and tight across the end. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the end of the yarn, and when I hold the end of the yarn, I don't recommend ever licking that. Instead, what you're going to do is I'm going to take this, and you want to hold it so that you can barely even see it inside your fingers. So I'm not using my fingernails, I'm just using my fingertips right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the eye of the needle, which is the part that has the hole, and I'm going to take that and slide it in between my fingers and let that yarn go through the eye of the needle, and it should go through nice and clean. You don't want to make a knot. You don't want to knot this on there. You just want to kind of loop it over, let it hang there. And then what you're going to be able to do is you can take your bead and you can put that onto your project. Now, when you're putting it onto your project, you are needing to make this kind of tight. If you have it real loose, it's going to kind of sag down on your project. So you're going to go ahead and make that tight into your project, and then you just go ahead and continue that same looping that you've been doing for everything else. If you would rather not have it on that portion, you can also, I'm going to show you how to put this yarn through the eye of the needle again. Once again, you're going to make a nice fresh cut. Hold it with your fingertips, and then you can go ahead and slide that over the ends. When you slide it over the ends, I'm going to take this, and let's take this through the yellow one here. I'm going to take that in and back out. After you take this back out right there, you are going to have to make a little knot so that that doesn't slide off the end. You can just go ahead and knot the string around to itself. This is the same knot that I originally showed you how to do, except you're knotting it onto itself instead of having two strings together. So put that on there and make sure that your bead is going to stay.